Hi, we're doing chapter 6 today. This is Modern Dental Assisting General Anatomy and Physiology. General Anatomy is chapter 6. So, would they start out talking about anatomy and physiology? So, studies of anatomy and physiology are closely related because one continuously influences the other. Function affects structure, and structure affects function. So anatomy is the scientific study of the shape and structure of the human body, and you need to know that. And you need to know that physiology is the scientific study of how the body functions. So those two work hand in hand together. So it's important for you as a dental assistant to understand that to communicate effectively as a health professional, you have to begin learning the basic terms that relate to the anatomy of the body because you're going to be using anatomy and directional anatomy terms. So learning those terms, there are something called anatomical position, and that's when the body's standing erect with the feet together and the arms hanging at the sides with the palms facing forward, and you need to know that definition. To understand body directions, think in pairs. So inferior and superior. So superior means above. So when I think of superior, you're superior at work, your boss. They're above you in the chain of command, so they're superior to you. Inferior, when you make someone feel inferior to you or below you, so inferior is below. Proximal and distal. Proximal is closer to the body, where distal is farther away from the body. Lateral and medial. I'm sorry. So lateral is to the side. Lateral means to the side, as medial is towards the middle. Dorsal and ventral. Dorsal is the back, where ventral is the front. So like dorsal fin of a dolphin would be on its back. Anterior and posterior. Anterior is toward the front and posterior is towards the back. So think post, back, last, posterior is in the back. So you have table 6.1 for directional terms of the human body that you can refer to. With planes and body directions, you have the sagittal plane. That is a vertical plane dividing the body from top to bottom into left and right sections. The sagittal plane can be located anywhere vertically on the body, and it's just dividing the body into left and right sections. The mid-sagittal plane is vertical as well, but it's dividing the body into equal left and right halves. So it is directly in the middle of the body, and that is why it's called the mid-sagittal plane. That is where you'll find the midline for the mouth. The transverse plane, also known as the horizontal plane, divides the body into superior, which is upper, and inferior, which is a lower portion. The frontal plane, or coronal, divides the body into anterior, which is the front portion, and posterior, which is the back portion. So planes are three imaginary lines used to divide the body into sections. Again, you can see that in figure 6.1. So the study of the human body begins with the smallest units and builds systematically into larger and larger units, finally resulting in the complete body. The human body has 4 structural units, from the simplest to the most complex, consisting of cells, tissues, organs, and body systems. We break the structures of the human body into smaller parts to make it easier to study. So cells are the basic unit of structure in the human body, and they react to stimuli, transform nutrients into energy to grow and reproduce. The term for specialization of cells is differentiation. So when a cell is differentiated, that means that it is one type of cell, like a muscle cell or a blood cell. That means that it is differentiated. The human body contains many types of cells, and they each have their own specific purpose. With stem cells, they're immature, unspecialized cells in the body. They can be introduced or induced to become other types of cells in the body, which is really cool because if they can be changed into one type or another if we need them. There are two primary sources of stem cells. We have embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. Stem cells can be found in different organs and tissues in the human body at different stages of life. So the embryonic stem cells come from embryos that develop from eggs that have been fertilized in the test tube and then used for research purposes. The embryos are usually 4 to 5 days old and are referred to as blastocytes. Adult stem cells actually can be found in the tissues of both adults and children, and the term adult stem cell is used to make a distinction from the embryonic stem cell. Adult stem cells can be found in bone marrow and are easy to obtain. Stem cells from bone marrow can be used in bone marrow transplant procedures for many years. Adult stem cells are also found in blood, skin, dental pulp, retina, skeletal muscle, and the brain. These are all the cell components they have listed here. For tissues, they're formed when many millions of cells within the same shape, size, structure, and function join together to perform a specific function for the body. So histology is the study of microscopic structure of the function of cells and their tissues. So we have many different types of tissues in our body. We have epithelial tissues, muscle, nerve, and connective tissue. So each type of tissue is different. And when you look at the tissue, the shape, size, and structure and function will all be different depending on the type of tissue that it is. So here it lists those 4 types of tissues, the epithelial, which are external skin or internal body surfaces. If they're internal body surfaces, it's a smooth surface like the mouth or the intestines and things like that. Connective tissue includes fat, tendons, and ligaments. Muscle tissues vary. They can either be voluntary, which we move on our own, like our arms and legs, or involuntary that move on their own, like heart muscles and heart, lungs, and stomach. Nerve tissue includes the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. For our organs, that's when there are several types of tissues that are together. When they're formed, organs are formed when several types of tissues become a group. Sorry. Organs perform a single function, and they contain each of the 4 types of tissues. All organs have nerve, connective, muscle, and epithelial tissues. Humans have 5 vital organs that are essential for survival, and it's our brain, which is our body's control center, our heart, responsible for pumping blood throughout our body, the 2 kidneys that remove waste and extra fluid from our blood, our liver that detoxifies harmful chemicals that pass through our system, and the 2 lungs that remove oxygen from the air that we breathe and transfers it to our blood to be sent to our cells, plus it removes carbon dioxide. A body system is composed of a group of organs working together to perform a major function. So an example of a body system here they have is the digestive system. That includes the esophagus, stomach, small and large intestines. So with the body systems listed, they're all listed in figure 6.4 for you to review. There are 11 organ systems in the human body. The 2 main body cavities are the dorsal, which is the back of the body, divided in the cranial cavity and the spinal cavity, and the ventral, which is the front of the body. It's subdivided into the thoracic cavity and the abdominal pelvic cavity. The thoracic cavity contains the heart, lungs, esophagus, and trachea, while the abdominal cavity houses the stomach, liver, gallbladder, spleen, and most of the intestines. The pelvic cavity contains portions of the small and large intestines, the rectum, the urinary bladder, and the internal reproductive organs. And finally, we have body regions. With body regions, for reference, the body is divided into 2 major regions. So we have the axial region, which is made up of the head, neck, and trunk of the body. And then we have the appendicular region, which comprises the arms and legs. So anatomy is important to your success in dental assisting and the healthcare field. It is the relationship between you and your patient. In order to treat a patient, it is important to understand how the body works when it is healthy. So please be sure to read over this chapter well so that you can understand how the body works. Thank you.